Hello, dear child, how are you feeling? Not in the mood of talking, huh? Just tell us what happened at your house, and you're free to go. You won't call me crazy, right? Of course not, dear child. You're in very good hands right now. We only want to hear your side of the story for research purposes, and the rest will be done later. Before we start with the interrogation, answer us these questions, dear child. 1. What is your name? 2. How old are you? And 3. Do you know where you currently are? Those questions may seem weird, but like I said earlier, it is just research purposes. So answer truthful for your own sake. My name is Keek Swendler, I am 10 years old, and I don't know where I currently am. Keek Swendler, huh? What an interesting name for a fellow like you. And quite young as well. Thank you for answering the questions about yourself truthful. You spared us a lot of time, buddy. Now tell us about the incident, dear child. I was 6 years old at the time. I had a pretty good life, and loved my parents a lot like a normal person would. You were 6 at the time. It is surprising that you're still here healthy with us. Forget about what I said, dear child. Continue with your story. Okay, I will continue, sir. Well, one night I heard strange sounds, but did not go investigate it. The next day I asked Father if he and Mother heard those sounds as well. Father said he was watching a movie with Mother. Since that day happened, I slowly noticed that their behavior and appearance was beginning to get very weird. Which sounds did you exactly hear? And what was the weird behavior of your parents? It sounded like screaming and furniture falling over. I think it was like 2:30 a.m. in the morning when I heard it. And the weird behavior included asking me weird questions that made me feel a bit uncomfortable. The food wasn't edible anymore. They stopped blinking and breathing. And the worst part is that the basement began smelling like rotten flesh. I almost threw up at the smell if I did not lock myself into my room. It does sound pretty strange. Were those questions not appropriate for 6-year-old's little mind? And did you told anyone about those conditions you were living in? One of those questions were, what would you do if you could feel maggots crawling inside your body? I got scared and tried to tell my neighbor about it, but she screwed it off and said I have a flourishing fantasy. Oh. Is that the reason why you developed trust issues and kept the incident to yourself for 4 years? Yeah, but it was not the only reason why. After like 3 weeks, the strange behavior of my parents got worse and worse. The happy atmosphere that I always felt with them was completely gone. Like it never existed. I began hearing whispers while walking down the neighborhood to my home.
The other neighbors saying stuff like, am I the only one, or did you notice that the Swindler family looks a bit different than yesterday? Or oh, that Love family was such a good example. Guess they are not as good as they always claim to be. The act of my parents was way out of character, because they always looked out to have the best reputation of the neighborhood. And because the food was not edible anymore, I had to learn how to cook for myself. Every single day got more and more exhausting until I was doing everything complete on my own. I was not living in my home anymore. I was trying to survive. I got fed up with the situation I was in, and decided to go find out myself why the basement was smelling this bad. Normal, my parents were very organized, so it was very confusing and unusual thing. So at 2 a.m. I made my way down to the basement stairs with a candle in my hands, barefoot in my pajamas.
What did you see in the basement, Geek dear?
I I saw the corpses of my own parents. Brutal murdered. Everything began making sense. The strange out of character behavior, the smell in the basement, and the unsettling feeling in my own home. Whatever I was living with, those weren't my parents.
Oh my. What a brutal sight to see. Especially for 6-year-old little child. How did you feel after the discovery, kiddo?
It hit me like a cold shower. I was staring paralyzed at the corpses, while tears formed in my eyes. Guilt and anger about the fact that I realized my parents were dead after damn exhausting and horrible 3 weeks was suffocating me. The thing I loved and cared the most was taken away from me without even noticing it.
Oh, my condolences. It must be a traumatic experience for you. It probably has messed you up a little. I got a report from our officers that you were found on your veranda splattered in a black substance from head to toe, while holding a sharp knife weaponry. It is suspected to be on human blood. Did you do something to the creatures claiming to be your parents, Geek?
I took the sharpest knife from the kitchen and killed the fakes that claimed to be my parents. The only issue was that I went complete into feral madness and tried to kill the others in the neighborhood. Before I could do any damage, I suddenly got dragged away by some people with weapons like pistols, teasers, and wearing complete black suits. When I woke up, I was in a psychiatrist. I stayed there for 4 years to recover from the incident, until I got brought here to finally tell someone about this incident.
Ah, so that is the reason why you came after 4 years to me. Those people with pistols and black clothing work here with me. I asked them to neutralize you so you won't get categorized as an experiment. Well then. Thank you, Geek Swindler, for being truthful in this interrogation about the incident. You gave us a lot of information, buddy. Now that you answered all of our questions, I will explain to you where you are. Welcome to the... We help people with fascinating cases like you, Geek dear. Now follow me. You probably have a lot of unanswered questions in the back of your mind.